Hello, everyone. Thank you once again for being here. I've noticed some moves going on along with the Saints' offensive staff over the last couple weeks. The hiring of Clint Kubiak, I am 100% on board with. I have noticed also the hiring of some other coaches that do have connections to Kubiak who in the last few years have been in programs that haven't been winning programs. Cases in point, the Jets and the Bears. There is reason for encouragement, though, that the Saints offense will improve in 2024. Hopefully, we're going to see screens and motion and a zone blocking running scheme that can get our running backs loose down the field and make our running game more efficient. And that is a wonderful segue into what I'm here to talk about tonight. As promised, I said that I was going to be doing a numbers breakdown on the Saints offense, but I'm going to tell you right now that when I started doing this, and I saw how Herculean this task was going to be. And it's already 2 weeks since I started this. I decided to limit it to the most consequential games of the 23 season. And in my estimation, those games are the first 10 games of the season when the Saints were pretty much injury free, so we didn't have that excuse to rely on. Now, let's look at some numbers. By the numbers. 2023 Saints season, 17 games. Total offense, 337.2 yards a game on average. That ranked 14th. Passing offense, 234.7 yards a game. That ranked 11th. Rushing offense, 102.5 yards a game. That ranked 21st. Scoring offense at 23.6 points per game. With 44 total TDs, that ranked ninth. Ninth. Every team ranked above us in that category made the playoffs. So, with numbers like that, you ranked 14th. There were 14 teams that got in the playoffs. By the numbers, the Saints should have been one of them, but they weren't. Why? Okay. Here's one stat that's telling about that. In the red zone, the Saints went 53.3%, which ranked 18th. Third down offense, 38.7%, which we made 91 of 235 attempts. That ranked 15th in the league, allowed 35 sacks, and had only 13 rushing TDs with a long of 29, and that ranked 18th. So by the numbers, Saints are actually middle of the pack. So here's why. By the numbers, they didn't make playoffs. And I'm talking about the first 10 games before the bye. In 6 of those first 10 games, the Saints failed to gain 100 yards on the ground. Of those 6 games, 4 were losses. Those 6 games were Tennessee, Chicago, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Houston, and Minnesota, which the last 4 we all lost. In those first 10 games, the Saints had 12 turnovers on offense. That's 12 of the 18 total that they had on the year. In the Tampa Bay game, 3 turnovers. That was a loss. In the Houston game, 2 turnovers. Also a loss. In the Jacksonville game, 1 turnover. And in the Minnesota game, 2 turnovers. Now, it's important to look at where and when those turnovers happened. Versus Tennessee, there was a fumble by Rashid Shaheed. Tennessee recovers at New Orleans' 24-yard line. Result of the play is 3 points for Tennessee. Next one, we got intercepted at the Tennessee 12-yard line. After that, Jamal Williams fumbled and recovered his fumble at the Tennessee 9. Then Derek Carr kneeled it out for the 1-point win. But that was a red zone turnover in that 1-point win. And by all rights and accounts, the Saints should have lost to Tennessee. Versus Carolina, an interception at our own 48. No result for Carolina. Versus Tampa Bay, Carr fumble recovered at New Orleans 19. Result is a Tampa Bay field goal. Winston, an interception at Tampa Bay 42 with 2:24 left, no result. Prentice, a fumble at 41 seconds left in the second quarter on the New Orleans 1-yard line. The result was a Tampa Bay touchdown. The score at halftime, Tampa 14, New Orleans 3, and we know how that game turned out. New Orleans only scored 6 points in that game. Versus Houston, 2 turnovers. Also, Group A missed the field goal. Maybe 2. The turnovers in that game, Zach Bond got an interception and then proceeded to fumble it on New Orleans' 45-yard line at 6:05 the second quarter. The result was a touchdown by Houston with 3:45 left in the first quarter. Score 7-0 Houston. The next one was an interception of Carr with 2:41 left in the fourth at Saints 2-yard line. Of course, we lost to Houston. Versus Jacksonville, 1 at the New Orleans 13-yard line. 7 minutes left in the third quarter. A pick six The score at that time, 17-9 Jacksonville versus Indianapolis. A fumble, second quarter. Carr at the New Orleans 30, result in Indy touchdown. But Indy was terrible last year. We won that game. And then, oh my goodness, versus Minnesota. I'm getting my cards together, folks, okay? Both of those happened in the fourth quarter. 3rd and 3 at New Orleans 44. Pass intercepted at the Minnesota 18-yard line with 3:13 left. Score at that time was 27-19. No Minnesota points resulted from that turnover. At 1:56, an interception at the Minnesota 9 from thrown from the Minnesota 46-yard line. Of course, the score remained 27-19. Minnesota was game 10. Now, this is how the Saints finish total. Total rushing plays, 480. Total rushing yards, 1742, which comes to an average of 28 rushing plays per game and 102.5 rushing yards per game. But look a little deeper into the numbers. In 6, remember, of the first 10 games, the Saints failed to gain 100 yards on the ground, and 4 of those games were losses. And of the first 10 games, 4 of those they gained better than 100 yards, and 1 of them was a loss to Jacksonville. If you're going to rush 28 rush plays per game and 102.5 yards, that's going to equal out to 3.6 yards per play. Okay, let's look at the pass. Passing yards, 42-25, 606 attempts, 406 completions. I'm only counting the completions when we're counting yards, of course. That's an average of 10.4 yards per attempt. Averages out for 17 games to 248 yards per game on the pass and 23 completions for a game. But let's look a little deeper into the numbers. In those first 10 games, only twice did the Saints do better than 300 yards passing. Those 2 games were against Indianapolis, which of course was a win, and against Houston, which of course was a loss. And also consider that many of the passing yards that the Saints did get in those first 10 games, when they were going 5-5 and half of those were losses, were attempts on the pass at the end of games when the outcome was already decided. Okay. If the Saints are averaging 3.6 yards on the ground, and averaging 10.4 yards on the pass. Either way, we're going to get first downs and we're going to win games, but that didn't happen. Why didn't that happen? Okay, penalties. Penalties at critical times. How many times do you remember the Saints being at what? 3rd and 4 and or less? And what happened? False start, um, delay of game, uh, holding, offensive holding. Even though the game was still in question at the time that those penalties happened, that they happened at that time stymied any scoring opportunities. My Saints, my Saints. I love my Saints, y'all know I do. But there's an old saying that liars figure, but figures don't lie. The overall figures that I recited here lie. If you're just going to look at the numbers tell you, yes, the Saints should have been in the playoffs, but if you watch the games and if you go through play by play, you can see where and when things started happening or when things didn't happen the way that they should have. Let's hope that the draft brings us some needed offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Let's hope that this new coaching staff can put together an offensive scheme, something that we haven't had since Dennis Allen has been here. Us Saints fans were willing to give Dennis Allen a chance when he was named head coach. Well, we went through that year and okay, he got another chance. And we went through this year and saw him do what he do, act the way he act, and coddle Derelict Carr the way he does. And we want him out. But he's going to be here for a third year. Hopefully, the fact that Clint Kubiak is here means that if Dennis Allen fails this year, he's out and Clint Kubiak is in as the head coach. Of course, that's the way it'll be. Failing that, and Mr. Derelict Carr. Hopefully, Mr. Kubiak and his new coaching staff can do something with him. But Mr. Carr, like yours truly, is born on the side of the ram and is hard-headed as hell. Let's see if he takes to teaching, at least as well as I do. Let's hope. Thank y'all for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Love you all. Thank you. Bye bye.